Good morning. The most important thing individually in the lives we lead is that we protect ourselves. We use self defense. I don't mean that in the terms of we know Kung Fu to take out an assailant. I mean in the sense we have to protect our mind. We have to protect our values. We have to sometimes make the hard choice and fight against maybe 100 people. You could be in a system where, say, like a workforce where you're being bullied. You're one of 100 crew, and you're one of the only ones who see maybe how corrupt the company is. Maybe you've seen firsthand bullying, and maybe the environment is just extremely toxic. Now, a lot of people believe that you should suck it up, and a lot of people live from paycheck to paycheck, and they've built their life around the job, and the job's now toxic to them. So what do? Now, the best advice would be never get in that situation. Before you start building a life, family, etc., make sure you have all the groundwork. But then, to counter that, life is unpredictable. You might have a great job, you might get made redundant, and you might have to go somewhere else, and the job might not be so great. But this is the thing: whenever you defend yourself, you're gonna struggle. If you go to HR, if you go down a legal route, you're gonna struggle because you're essentially blocking an attack, which is gonna put you in really warm water, and that's why most people don't. That's why you see people they don't leave a toxic relationship, they don't leave a toxic workforce, because not only are they convinced in their head that they need the money, they need the job, they're convinced in their head that if they do use self-defense and protect their mind, protect their soul, that their life's going to be difficult. And the truth of the matter is, it is. Whenever you go against the grain, no matter what it is, you're going to find difficulty. What we're seeing at the moment is a different sort of pattern where people are going against the grain, but they're doing it wrong. When you become a rebel, you have to take on some moral principles in order to then defend the thing you're defending. Because if you defend the thing you're defending with no principles and no moral structure, and you're just attacking people, all you're doing is just basically creating a mini civil war. So that's why you're seeing a very I'm just talking about the UK now, but I'm sure it's a world thing. You're seeing a very, very angry world. You're seeing somebody who posts a video of, say, somebody being scammed, and the people go around the back of the video in the comments and they attack the scammer, which is the right thing to do. But there are a lot of people doing it in the wrong way. They're attacking race, or they're attacking, and obviously you can say there is some sort of stereotype in the types of scams. What happens? There's a typical scam in London. I'm trying not to name the exact scam, so I like to, when I talk about things, I like to try and create something where it can't actually be used as a topic. It's just almost like a lie in a way, but it's a lie what a lot of people understand. There's a scam in London, so this is kind of half made up, but I have seen something similar to it, where somebody comes up to you and asks for the time, and when they do so, somebody comes and picks your pocket, and the person what does it isn't actually a certain race or demographic. They're actually a certain principle of speech. The speech I've seen it once happen in real life. I've seen it twice happen on video, and the speech patterns they use can be copy and pasted onto each other. So there is a stereotype in there that the people that commit that crime, there is a stereotype. Stereotypes, there are some truth always to them. However, usually people don't understand the nuance of that, and they just attack head on that this is a stereotype. And in a way, you can sort of tell from the comment that they know their comment's ridiculous, but through being anonymous and a butchered pronunciation of that, but through being a lone vessel on the internet, and through just when people work really hard and then they come home, they switch off and they turn on their evil side. So they just want to destroy people on the internet and they want to get angry. So sometimes in the way we're defending people is wrong because we're not looking at the context of the situation. We're just attacking with brute force the subject. But there are right ways to defend yourself, and there are ways where brute force has to be used to defend yourself, and a lot of people think you're wrong. There's many. What creates the outsiders? This may be you, or what creates the person what doesn't fit amongst the masses, if you like, is the person who usually has to make such a controversial decision that they're quite hated for it. You know, I've been in situations more than once where I believed with all my enthusiasm, all my beliefs and values that something there. I believe with all my values that what I've been arguing is 100% right, and in doing so, it's turned absolutely everybody against me. You lose friends, you lose relationships. But what you do gain, you gain a perspective, and you gain you gain this almost immortal joy of just knowing that you stood up for yourself. But you're seeing people now in society where they're standing up for themselves, but they're doing it based on almost a straw house. They're doing it based on their principles, and that's why we're getting these crazy arguments from the left, from the right, from the middle. Just these insane, I don't understand why. Yeah, this is the era on the internet where people talk really fast. I know I can talk a little fast, but people talk really fast on the internet, and we assume that they're an intellectual. We just give them the right of speech because it is that generation. It's that cyber generation where we have to speak so fast to be heard. Moving on away from this a little bit, I kind of want to talk to you guys about how defending the mind is extremely important, in the sense, if you know you've got a problem, so let's say you know you've got a drinking problem, or you know you have some form of addiction, we know that the body has to be maintained. There is no getting away from the fact that, you know, a lot of people will say who have these addictions that if they're addicted to the substance, they'll say it's wrong, but a little bit doesn't hurt. But if you have an addicted personality, a little bit can hurt because it can be a gateway. If you don't have an addicted personality, then you can slightly get away with it more. But as you get older, when you're younger, your metabolism's faster, and you know, I used to be able to run without training, without stretching. I could just go for a run. Now I don't stretch. Now I don't train. My ankles are shot. My knees are shot because I have to really think about one point in my body. Like, I'm at that age now where, in order to function better in life, I can't eat a pizza. I used to literally, I would go to school, go to the shop after, buy a full pizza, come back and eat it every single day, and it didn't affect me. Now if I did that, if I ate one full pizza, I'll feel like trash for a week. There is obviously, people have different types of intake. If people burn fat faster, they can maybe eat more of these things. But just in general, these salty and these snacks we're putting into our body, and we're drinking, and the Pepsis and the Coca-Colas, they are okay in moderation. But at the same time, if they're affecting you, you might have to look at the alternative to cut them out. So we know that, and people who are addicted know that, but it is almost like we enjoy the pain. We enjoy being depressed. It's a lot more safer and warmer to be depressed because it's easier. It's a lot harder to try and face up to the fact you might actually have to work on yourself. You see people would rather commit crimes than work on themselves. You see people would rather, I don't mean commit crimes, I don't even mean in the legal system. I just mean commit crimes to themselves and commit crimes from others in sort of a metaphysical way. To look at life, you have to look at it in the sense that the societies we've created don't exist in the sense we don't need them, because what we really need is the nature, into exercise and communication and to have some sense of ambition and to build things. These are the basic fundamental things, and that's what we have done to build a society. But the society we built, obviously, we're sort of evolving and adapting to the things we've built, but at the same time, they're not really real consequential to being a human. Most of the things, say online, say even this, don't really matter. They don't really affect you. So, in real order to be healthy, you have to decide, and it's the hardest thing to do. You have to decide, these people are enabling me, these people are toxic. I may go down to no friends, I may spend New Year's alone, but you have to think it's going to be better in the long run. It's going to be better for yourself. And this comes into self-defense, this comes into protecting yourself. An old friend comes out of woodwork. You have to decide whether this person can be toxic to your life. This person used to be a little toxic to my life. He or she seems like they've changed a little bit. Shall I let them in and give them another chance? Yeah, you let them in. They do something we don't find toxic. Maybe they enable you to get drunk, or they start with a smoking habit again, or whatever it is, or they lead you down an alley, or you start talking about things with no principles and morals. Like you maybe start thinking about cheating on your partner, or whatever the corruption is you're in. Especially if you're in areas, a lot of problems, people get stuck in that environments and areas, and they can't leave the environment, and they settle for a job they feel is beneath them, and they just get stuck there, and they just fall into this culture of drinking and this depression, because if nothing's coming at the end, if you're not getting anything and you're replacing, at the end of the day, people would say things like, I don't need anybody in my life, which is true. We're all kind of alone at the end of the day, but I don't need anybody in my life, or I don't need friends, I don't need that, I don't need lots of money. But the truth is, we do need those things. We need a small dose of them. We need relationships, we need communication. So by shutting ourselves off, we're just going to create depression, and we're just going to hide things. I know you all know this, but if you cut yourself off from you can convince yourself you are alone. You don't need to. I've done the same myself. I've convinced myself I'm alone, but the truth is, you still need to rock up and meet all these people. What could maybe you just don't want to communicate. Maybe it exhausts you, but you still need it. It's good for you, because you do gradually grow. When I was younger, I was terrible with money, but now I'm getting older, I'm getting better. And when you're younger, you're never going to get better, you think you're never going to have that spare bit of change what you possibly could have had before you were so frivolous with money. But you get better. You start to realize your time. Like now, I'm able to understand all my if I've played a video game too long, if I've eaten the wrong thing, I can just feel it in my diet. I can feel it in my moods, because you cut out the coffee, you cut out the smoking, you cut out the alcohol, you cut out the toxic people. When somebody toxic comes across you, you don't stand for it anymore, because your values are higher. This is why self-defense is so important. And it also enables you, in the last video I made, it enables you to sort of take that approach where you can sit back and you can observe and you can take in more information, and you can go and read a book, and you can really weigh up what you want to do with your life. And by doing that, you can feel good. Like, when I was in my worst situations, I had a way out. There really was a way out. There always is a way out. Obviously, that way out can be almost pathetic in a way. Like, that way out can, say if you're being addicted to drugs for 15 years, it might mean starting in the most minimal position in society. But even that has to be better than going the other way. So when I was in my worst throes of depression and everything like that, I convinced myself there wasn't a way out, and I convinced myself everything was pointless, etc. And when you really weigh up, it was so far from the truth, so far. And now I'm in a position through building my health where I can literally pick and choose what I want to do in my life, because I can just see things. I can be like, if I want to go on vacation right now, I know to check, do I have the money? It's just gonna shaft me down the road. If I have the money, let's go on vacation. You can, in business opportunities, you can be like, do I have too much work on now? Should I up my workload, or am I going to start listening to? Because when you're depressed, you start listening to all these con artists on the internet of, you need to up your grind set. You don't need to up your grind set. If you're already stressed about your life and you're already depressed, the way out is not to up your grind set. It's to change, and it's to revalue your morals, and it's to sort of rewire your body, if you like, so then you can face life as a new person, decrease your workload, take on things what are more valuable to you. Work with one client and just build a strong relationship with one client. It's kind of like the analogy of the mistress and your partner, or your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. I don't know what the equivalent would be for mistress for a woman. Nobody, unless you just have a terrible relationship, nobody can really match your partner. But the fantasy is that you're able to get somebody else, or you're able to, maybe things got a bit stale, so you're able to move on to somebody else. But the truth is, nobody can match that person. So when you have the value that nobody can match that person, you might as well just work with one person. You can build it up, because if you think about it, your partner is there. The sex is available. You can literally turn to this person and you can discuss finances. You can discuss your future. You can discuss all that. When you go to the mistress, you can't do that, and chances are this mistress isn't really even into you. She's getting some thrill from cheating, or she's getting some thrill from something, and you're also getting that thrill. So it really is, you just have to work on every single aspect, and you just have to think about it. I kind of do believe the analogy that you have to live through a lot of mistakes to be able to work these things out, but I think the idea would be to not make these mistakes, but I think you have to take the risks to also then make the mistakes to work this out. I would say major mistakes can be avoided, in the sense that I think making little mistakes is fine. It's the major mistakes that really affect us. I've had toxic friends in my life for 7 years what I just knew from day one were trash, but I just didn't cut them out, and then they finally bit me, and the snake finally bites you. And you're annoyed at the snake, but you should also be annoyed at yourself for not cutting this person out. Okay, I'm going to end this video here. It just really is just this common sense. Common sense always wins. You can kind of class common sense as logic, but sometimes logic can be a little too grounded. Sometimes some structures you need to be a little bit more loose. The big argument is when we look at there's a whole lot of people out there who, I understand this mentality completely, and sometimes I wish I had this mentality, and sometimes I sympathize with this mentality that I am just happy with what I've got. Say if somebody's on minimum wage, and say if somebody can barely afford Christmas. I'm not ambitious. I just want to go somewhere, get my money, and come back. That's fine. But at the same time, sadly, it's not going to work. Sadly, if you don't have that, just that extra kick, or that extra bit of motivation to really change your life. I feel like pheasants very close. If you don't have that little bit of motivation to change your life, you're gonna have struggles in life. That's the truth. The truth is, if you are somebody who's going, I don't want a relationship, sadly the world is kind of built for people with relationships, and sadly I think being in a relationship generally does make life better. And you can also, you don't have, when you get in a relationship, a lot of people, you don't have to just spend your whole time with them. If you're with the right person, they'll understand if you want to go on vacation by yourself, they'll understand if you want time by yourself. It's a silly thing to think that because you're in a relationship you're trapped. That's how it just becomes a stereotype. That's how people, that's when people start referring to the wife, or they start referring, that's how it becomes this thing. It doesn't have to be like that. I'm not saying it has to be an open marriage, but I'm saying it doesn't have to be like that. Because we just take all principles of life and all the things we've seen, all the rules, and we just apply them to ourselves, and we don't need to. It doesn't need to exist. So if you are a person who doesn't want a relationship, you have to kind of call ball on yourself, because life's kind of better with one. And if you're somebody who, cost of living is crazy now, and I completely understand that people can't retrain. I understand that people just don't want to. They can't. Most of the people what are online telling people to do these things are kind of, I'll say successful in not the way you're thinking, but they're very successful people, and they're very highly driven, very highly strong people. I know people myself that just don't sleep. I have a friend of a friend who he is the most highly strong person. He does a million things, I will never ever have that motivation. And I think I've got a good motivation. I could also be called highly strung, but this guy is levels above me. And if he was to start a masterclass, it's not even I don't even have that hardware. No, you don't have the hardware to be that person. The people who are teaching these things, we're just not like them. We don't know their story. We don't know the fact they could have got an inheritance. They could have got money, so they already had a decent start. However, I understand all those things. However, you do have to be thinking for yourself and how to maximize money, and and that could even be in terms of if the money's if you're not making enough to cover drinking. Say if you got drinking at the weekend or you cover your hobby, and you're struggling in life, you're gonna have to cut those things out till you find a way to generate enough money to do all those things. That's the good thing about going for a healthy bit of change. You can do many things in life. You can go to a nice restaurant, and you can you might just go on vacation more. So I understand that some people just can't change their life, and some people just didn't have the school and just don't have the know-how, don't have the thing. But it is kind of everybody's responsibility to make sure they can get the best out of life. And there are no tools for that. It only comes out of the sense of you have to wake up and you have to think. So say for example, let's say across the street there's a log cutting. I wonder how I thought of that. It's a log cutting company, and it's £10 more. You get £10 more an hour. So say you're on £10 and you're gonna get £20 for working at the log company. But to get to the log company, they're not asking for a big CV, and they're not asking for any qualifications. But it's kind of just a little hard to get in. So a lot of people would go to sleep. A lot of people would walk past it and keep it as a dream. You've got to go in and ask, and you've got to go in and try and apply. And if you don't get it, you either have to wait a bit longer and try and get it again, or try and do something equivalent to it. You have to, when you have that original idea of, I think I can do that, and I think it's going to make my life better, when you go for it, you will face so much failure. So much failure. But you have to kind of be a cockroach in the sense you just have to sit the failure out. That is the real truth. There's also truth in the fact that that job just really might not be for you. The log company people that want you, and on a real technicality, you might want to do it, but it's just not for you. So you have to go find something else. But you should never really worry about what everybody else is doing. Don't worry about what that person's doing. Don't even really think about the economy. A lot of people worry about the economy. They're like, the world needs this sort of manual skill. I'm going to do it. Now, I'm going to too many things here, but I just want to say this. This is a little fear I'm going to throw out to everybody. It's something I think about a lot, that I think the idea of a human is you can develop a lot of different skills. And I think we segregate ourselves into, when I was younger, I just decided I would never be able to do construction. I decided that I would never be able to take a wall down. But I've actually learned those skills now. I'm fairly good at it. I could take a wall down if I wanted to, and I could put a wall up if I wanted to. There's nothing stopping me from learning the skills, and there's various ways to acquire them. I've acquired most of my skills in my life just through never saying no. If somebody's like, oh, you want to come help me do this? I'm like, sure. Do you want to come drive this boat I've got? Sure. Do you want to come help me put a shelf up? I've never done it before, let's do it. Do you want to go for a run? Do you want to try and do a 5K with me? Just keep accepting things, and you'll gain these skills. And I think the fear of not, the big fear in my country is that there's not going to be enough plumbers and stuff like that because people aren't pursuing it. And if people don't want to pursue it, that's fine. They don't have to. But what would be interesting is if we all just develop some sort of skills because we all had an interest in it, because we think, hang on, one day I might need to do some plumbing in my house. One day I might need to. We have to go advance in the field. We can keep the system working sort of together. in a sense. And that also goes into the theory of do you have to have people what are going to work these minimum wage jobs, like working in warehouse? Do you have to have these people? And I think sadly and truthfully, yes. Like I'm not going to sit here and lie. Like I pride myself on this channel, and I don't want to be one of those people what are saying, it's just through the warehouse and nobody has to do these jobs anymore. But that's sort of implying these jobs are bad. But these types of jobs have to exist to make the world go round. Then we have to go into the other debate: do we need the world to function as it is? But I think you need to, you and I and everybody, I think we need to stop thinking like that and just think about our own individuality. I think, and that doesn't mean that you have to be selfish, because if you do develop these skills, you actually become extremely helpful. Because I have enough friends who can know a little bit about anything, where I even got a friend of a friend who's a lawyer. Admittedly, he's just started, so he hasn't really had that much experience, but that person's there if I ever needed a lawyer, if you know what I mean. He's even said he's there if we ever need a lawyer. So you have to make these connections. And by the way, I'm not saying you don't have to be in high society to make connections either. I've come from extreme working class backgrounds, and I now know doctors and millionaires and farmers and filmmakers and magicians and loads of people, because you just have to get yourself stuck in and just try things and do things and then pick up these skills. Okay, so I'm uploading my videos later on Sunday now, because I'm usually quite busy all week, and I come to film them. When I go for a walk, I just like to actually walk and not think about trying to make a video. Well, I actually film them usually on a rush on Friday, and then get them uploaded on Sunday. But I usually have weekends off, so it's Saturday morning now, so I usually, if I can upload them later on Sunday, it gives me a chance to film it Saturday morning, really think about, I do try to work back. Sometimes I admit, the week's just in such a rush, there's so much stuff going on, and I have an idea in my head, and I haven't really quite said what I want to say properly. It hasn't really come out, and I just haven't really found. I think my videos are most best when I'm here in my normal woods, because I feel more secure. So I do try to get here a lot to film the videos. Like I do see my life moving further out somewhere. Like if I ever went to a city, I guess these videos I'd probably be filming them in an apartment or something like that. But yeah, I'm just going to be uploading them a bit later on Sundays. Maybe even go to Monday morning now. It just gives me a little bit of time. So I don't know if I've got any regular people who are expecting videos at a certain time. Just going to be a small change there. I do have a few ideas to improve some of the content and change a few things what I think could be better. Some of them I decided against because they're a bit copycat of other channels. I don't even know if I'm really on something here. Like when I started this, I wanted to just have it raw and just not really much production. It's something I would like to watch and listen to. Although I don't even really watch videos. I just sort of walk around with them on, just playing my headphones. But yeah, sometimes I think I would like to add some different shots to it, and maybe talk a little bit and move somewhere else. But as of now, I'm sort of comfortable doing this. It's interesting because I felt like when I started, it wasn't great, and I got to this part where I like my early videos nobody's really watched, where I thought they were good, and then they sort of got when I was doing a video a day, it was just too much. I thought it was a bit trash, and then I think I filmed some good ones, and then I think I started getting some rhythm, and then I think there's a point when I went really down. I think it's when I moved out. I don't know what I was really trying to get at in some of the videos, and then I think they started getting pretty good again, and then I think I'm still trying to work out the rhythm and the technique of how to. I think this has been a strong video. I'm just trying to make sure that I can bring this sort of strength to all the videos, because I do come out most 90% of the time with the same enthusiasm, and I like the idea of I'm just talking. I'm not really thinking about much. I don't really have anything written down or anything thought out. I just think of a topic and work around it. But I do notice some of the things I say in some of the videos I do aren't as good as others, so I would like to try and work in a way where I could possibly change that, really, and have, the bar is to have strong content all the time. I think I'm creating an interesting slipstream. Of course, it's hard on YouTube to launch. There's a bit of luck attached to it. Some of my videos, I don't know if they've maybe reached 1,000, but I'd say they're doing quite well. I guess a lot of channels like this, I guess when you see a thumbnail like this as well, you sort of know what the channel is. And I'm not sure if I'm completely convinced with like banning and stuff like that. I'm not. Like I believe some of it happens. I'm not sure if some of the things I'm talking about are just push me down algorithms. I'm not sure. I never really wanted to get painting with everybody else who's just making rants and just attacking things. I always wanted to just try and provide a bit more balance in my videos than maybe you see on the internet. Alright, well have a good weekend, week, day, life. Ciao.